Good morning and welcome to the November edition of the Highlander Open Series. This is our last Open Series event for the 2025 series of Highlander. Oh my goodness, it's finally here. After this, we will be inviting the top 24 players to the December Invitational. I'm joined in the booth today by Ethan Bird.
Hello, how's it going, everyone?
You were just doing commentary at the Lotus event as well.
Yeah, had a lot of fun. So I thought, look, another opportunity here. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Well, we've got an exciting first match for you guys. We've got Cody Kusari on Izzet Prowess and Rowan Millers on Mono Red. So we're going to take you on down to the table and we'll get started. What can you tell me about, I'm really surprised to see Mono Red.
I love Mono Red. Yeah, so if people are familiar with my personal Highlander history, they'll know that I played a lot of Mono Red about 2 or 3 years ago. The deck, unfortunately, has pretty much phased out because of a lot of the powerful 3-drops nowadays. So you're seeing things like Barragoyf, Bombardiers, just cards that basically overwhelm you too much. But it's a low to the ground deck. It's going to play a lot of cheap, efficient red creature spells, as well as a pair of paired with interactions, such as like your general bolts and things like that. And you do get to play some powerful 3-drops yourself as well. So we're just struggling at the moment to get the deck list, sorry.
Don't worry, I got you. So is it Prowess as well? Like, we've seen this deck kind of, on and off in Highlander as well. Is this going to be like a, Corey Steel Cutter type deck? Because that to me, as someone who plays Standard, that feels to me very much like a Standard deck,
Yeah. I mean, obviously with sort of the recent printings of even like Slickshot Show Off, your Prowess has really come into its own archetype in Highlander based around these really powerful 2-drop threats. And as we see, we've kicked things off with one of the greatest cards of all time, Goblin Guide.
Goblin Guide, and Cody's going to ponder. He's going to think about it.
Yeah, it's always good to think before you draw cards, usually. Especially with the Goblin Guide on the table. Cody's likely put a land on top of his library in that order.
Soul Ring. Okay, you know what? I'm looking at Rowan's deck, and all I can think right now, Commander deck.
Yeah, all I'm thinking is you don't have a Mox Ruby. But I do believe this is not Rowan's deck. I think he's borrowed this deck for today. And that's a Bomac Courier, which is an excellent card, which is going to get Subtlety. This is probably it's one of the best Bomac Couriers I've ever seen.
Bomac Courier, I always mispronounce this card as Bombat Courier.
Bombat. It's a Wombat Courier.
Bombat Courier. It's Bomac here. So, and that was Subtlety pitching it back to basics as well.
Yeah, that's a really nice.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Well, look, and back to basics is one of my favorite Highlander cards, but that's going to do nothing against Rowan's deck.
Yeah, it's going to do nothing, but with these blue-based decks, you still have things like Brainstorm and such, so cards in your hand are still valuable. So with Rowan just being able to put 1 mana into the Bomac Courier and have it be essentially 1-for-1 is really, really strong.
Indeed.
Looks like he's going to follow up again with the Bomac Courier, start to get some cards under that one so that he can sack it and rebuild his hand in the later turns.
And that's a memory lapse as well.
Yeah, so the Bomac Courier loves the top of the deck at the moment. It's living there for a minute.
We just keep going back to the top of the deck. At least Rowan always knows what he's drawing on each of his turns.
Yeah, it's true.
Alrighty. So how does this, my understanding as well of the way that Mono Red tends to play is it's very aggressive, but how does Mono Red fare in a field that has fetches and Barragoyfs and Nethergoyfs? To me, Mono Red always reads as kind of the, aggressive but budget kind of deck.
Yeah, so it's quite a hard deck to play. Obviously, I'm quite biased when I say that. I've played a lot of games with it, so it's easy for me to say it's hard, but your decisions are very, very critical, and the way you spend each card is pretty vital. Like if you pick a 1-for-1 in the spot that's incorrect, or you try and go after a creature with your interaction instead of going for the opponent's face, it's likely going to cost you the game if that's incorrect. So yeah, I mean, now overall you're just looking to really just pair into curving out, getting your opponent, hopefully your opponent stumbles a little bit and you can just overwhelm them with a bit too much damage. But a matchup like this is pretty much where you want to be. So you have enough burn spells in your deck that you're pretty much able to trade with most of Cody's threats that will be coming out here as well. So Cody's not going to be able to overwhelm you with threats, And because you're not playing too many burn spells, those numbers sort of line up well for the mono red deck.
Flame of Anor from Cody there on the Goblin Guide.
Yeah, which is, again, a really good exchange for Rowan, right? So Goblin Guide's already dealt a few damage, whilst it has drawn Cody a few lands. I mean, him spending 3 mana into one of your Goblin Guides is exactly where you want your Goblin Guide to be.
It's a very favorable like mana exchange in that way.
Huge, yeah.
Well, and as well, like how much mana has Cody currently spent on both the Bomat Carrier and the Goblin Guide, which are both 1 mana each?
Yeah, so
and how much, has Cody been pushing in?
Yeah, exactly right.
Ooh, and that's a Warped Quantum Riddler. I'm seeing so many standard cards. I love this.
I think that goes to show just how mono red has been pushed out of the meta, because all these new cards are just too overwhelming for the deck, to be honest. But Bomat Carrier punching in. Oh, looks like we got a bolt at the beginning of combat. So yeah, again, like going back to how much mana has been spent, I think that's like 5 mana and 5 cards on a Bomat Courier and a Goblin Guide. So,
yeah, Cody's graveyard is looking pretty huge right now.
Pretty good. Would love something like a Murktide, which
I was just thinking a Murktide would go really well.
For sure. Murktide or like a Pyrogoyf here, because of we have hit the fourth land. So yeah, now Cody's really looking for his slam dunk threats.
And I see as well, Rowan's got down there an Elegant Parlor. What's the white splash for in a mono red aggro deck?
I believe the white splash is just for, I guess it's just for the Surveil land itself. So you are playing a few fetch lands to get some more cards in the graveyard to sort of pump up your Grim Lavamancer or Barbarian Ring. So yeah, that Surveil land is just something that's going to be fetched, it looks like, not actually casting anything.
Interesting. And that seems like a really interesting position for something like mono red to be in. It feels like, that speaks to the format being very mid-rangey, right? Like you want to be able to find threats. You need to be able to last more long-term.
Yep. And the deck, whilst it is an aggressive deck, it's a very mid-range sort of in practice, where the game isn't going to end on turns 4 and 5. The game is probably going to end on turn 10 plus. And so having access to this end-step Surveil land in a lot of matchups where you just essentially do have time is, really, really crucial.
Yeah. Cody has purchased Lutri from the Companion Zone.
Yeah, something that Rowan is not playing, but it's something that mono red's played a lot in the past. But Lutri getting up to, I think, 3 points now is, it's a little bit too expensive for the deck, unfortunately.
Yeah. I play an 8-point Blue Moon list, and 3 of my points are Lutri as a companion. Which
is, I think, worthwhile. Lutri's a very, very powerful card. Obviously, you don't really need a restriction in your deck. And, as we see here, it's probably one of Cody's key ways here to try and take over this game.
Pinnacle Monk down there as well for Rowan.
Yeah, it's a very...
it's a nice Prowessy card. And a Fury from Cody as well.
Yeah, Fury's a very, very good follow-up here for Cody. He's going to add a big threat to the board whilst removing Rowan's creature.
How do these kinds of games, my understanding is that both of these decks are very aggressive, but it feels like they're both playing a very, threat mitigation game right now.
Yeah, so pretty much both decks, to some degree, want to play the control role. And when... the person that's often winning the game is the one that's able to control the board the most and then apply their threats after they've cast all their interaction. Just having a little bit of camera trouble, though.
Looks like our stream has dropped, so what do we think is happening right now?
I think... looks like Rowan shouldn't have many cards in hand, so if he doesn't have an answer for this Fury, this game is going to be over pretty quickly. However, the fact that he hasn't cast any burn spells just yet likely indicates that he does have an answer for the Fury, but we'll have to wait and see.
I wonder what's going to happen in this period of time where we don't know what's happening.
As a friend of Ron, and a friend of Cody, I guess, so maybe I shouldn't root for either of them in particular, but I would put some money on, Rowan should definitely have a burn spell in his hand. If not, what's he been doing?
What happened, I think, is the Fury landed and the table blew up.
Yeah, the Fury targeted the camera.
The Fury target camera.
Yeah.
No one's allowed to see what's going on at the minute. We're just going to bring you guys just back up with us for a minute, just so you can see some movement actually happening on screen.
No Furies in this.
There's no Furies. There's no Furies in Bossing City.
No Furies.
Well, so let's talk. Let's rewind a little bit. Let's talk about both of these players were at the Lotus event.
Yeah, they were.
How did they go?
Pretty sure. So Rowan definitely made day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he didn't do too well in the second day. However, I think Cody also made day 2, I want to say. I'll say he made day 2. Can't say he couldn't make it, and then he made it.
Yeah, yeah.
Accidentally.
Can't say there's no way
Yeah,
that he would have made
there's
it.
a big way he made it. I think also props to Cody for just sharing his deck list a few days earlier. I did notice that, which is I think a real baller thing to do. Don't keep any secrets. Just post your deck list.
So even though this isn't an open deck list thing, he just posted
Yeah,
exactly
just
what
post, like,
he's
this is what I'm
going to
gonna
be playing.
doing. If you want to copy it. Like, yeah. I think that's a really nice sort of way of helping like newer sort of players not like have some sort of a guide and understand what other players are doing and not just trying to figure out themselves, which is a really hard thing to do, especially in Highlander. Predicting the meta game, it's like, are you going to lean towards predicting the meta based on previous results or things that people perceive to be the best decks? So things like Storm, I've always often hear people say, but also the factor of like how many Black Lotuses exist in Australia. Card availability is a true thing. Looks like we're still having trouble with the camera, unfortunately.
Hey, look, early in the morning, camera's just waking up. I'm just waking up. Well, and so I think the idea of, Highlander to me, almost, dare I say, similar to Commander in a lot of ways, is very open. It's very public. People post their lists. People are iterating on lists. This is the best Edgar Markov list. This is the best Kinnan list. Everyone's working and iterating. And, Highlander especially is so community-based. Whether you're here in Melbourne or you're away in Sydney, wherever you are, there are such tight-knit groups and there's so many testing teams. There's so many servers. Like, I'm familiar, and hopefully you guys all are as well, with the 7 Point Highlander specific server. And then someone was like, oh, did you know there's also, like, Kira, you're interested in playing lands. Did you know there's an entire server just for lands?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. And so, like, that level of camaraderie and, like, community is really cool in a format like this, which from the outside can seem really intimidating. You hear vintage format and you go,
Yeah, you hear dual lands.
You hear dual lands. You hear Black Lotus.
Like, okay, well,
and you just go,
for me, but yeah, and I think it's something
interesting.
A credit to the community. I just see a lot of people lending things, and that's how you're able to get a lot of new players into the game, which has been really nice. I mean, obviously yourself, you're playing an 8-point deck, so no Volks just yet, but I hope it'd be something you look keen on playing in the future. Get some dual lands in there.
We're going to go grab our technician and see if we can get this live footage back on board. So hopefully we don't miss, games 2 and 3. We'll be right back. Crisis averted. We're throwing you back down to the table. And thankfully, we are still on game 1. Quite a little bit has happened. I can see invert polarity, force of negation, mental misstep in the graveyard.
I think the invert polarity was a heads because I see Rowan's creature on the other side of the battlefield.
Oh, and what's that?
I believe it's the Pinnacle Monk.
That's not a Pinnacle Monk.
It's not? Oh
no, there is a Monastery Swiftspear on Rowan's side, and that was a Magus of the Moon.
Yeah. But Magus not great here into Cody's 4 basic islands.
Mystic Sanctuary really great here too. That's going to be able to grab, like, what would you grab?
What would I grab? Oh, fortunately for Cody, it's one of these situations where whatever he grabs, it's probably fine. But I'd definitely be looking at the Flame of Anor, just because also you've got the Lutri in hand still, so yeah, Cody's really putting the foot forward here and establishing some better board presence, and the card advantage is going through the roof as it turns out.
Grab the invert polarity.
Yeah, invert polarity is an interesting pick here. I think that probably indicates that Cody doesn't have a lot of other interaction in his hand.
So invert polarity seems like a really interesting choice. I've often been told that cards with double pips are really intense commitments. And so this is a 3-mana counterspell essentially, but it has the potential to be a steal spell. What's kind of the benefit of running something like this in a deck like Cody's?
Yeah, and so in a format where the card quality is just absolutely insane and pretty much as high as you'll see it in the game, yeah, having a big tempo swing as to potentially stealing your opponent's Baragos or other big threats in Highlander, like maybe Fury in the Prowess mirror or Blue Moon mirror, that just creates a massive tempo swing, and often if you hit heads on something like that and there's no follow-up from the opponent, you're just going to straight up win the game. Looks
like the invert polarity hit Rowan's Magus of the Moon as well.
I wonder what Rowan will be sideboarding out after he confidently makes that play.
We've got a Monastery Swiftspear, and is this a Harsh Mentor?
Yeah, great art.
Ooh, thank you. I've been working on my card identification
Yeah.
skills.
Harsh Mentor often played in the energy decks during Nadu's big hiatus in Modern.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really interesting in Highlander. Yeah, obviously taxes all the fetch lands, taxes has like it's like a little incremental thing. It's a surprise package, right? Every now and again, it's going to trigger, and you just be like, oh, okay, cool. This is just free damage going to my opponent.
Cody's in a really interesting spot of kind of playing control right now.
Yeah, and he's doing it really well. So his life total hasn't changed for a few turns, which is huge. And Rowan just has no threats on the board at this stage. So yeah, definitely in the driver's seat.
When your life total doesn't change against aggro, that seems like a pretty
Yeah,
good spot to be in.
yeah. When you're gaining resources and not losing life, it's look, you should end up winning the game.
Soul Ring for 2 generic, 2 red. Is Rowan running Fury as well?
I think so.
It's
Yeah.
5 though, isn't it? 5 or 4?
Yeah, Fury though, it's just pretty much a safer card to main deck than like
Ooh.
Pyrokinesis.
Bloodthirsty adversary.
Adversary here is looking really nice, especially with all this mana that Rowan can put into it.
This is like a tour through like the years that I was playing Standard.
Yeah. Good COVID times.
As much like when I was playing, Standard on Arena,
You're playing the mono red deck?
I was playing against it a lot.
Oh, true.
I didn't have
Yeah,
the
it was up
wild
there.
cards to craft. When Bloodthirsty Adversary is a mythic, I didn't have the wild cards for that. I had to play like budget mono red.
8-point mono red.
I was playing a lot of Selesnya humans, honestly.
Yeah, true. Need to draft more.
During the
Standard
infamous
specialist.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Bloodthirsty Adversary does resolve.
Flame Slash.
I don't know if Rowan just had the one target. Yeah.
So Flame Slash on Lutri and
Wow.
Otawara in response bounce the Lutri back to hand. And so the Otawara has been open in hand for a couple turns.
Mm.
Is that is the intention to get Cody to use it on Rowan's terms as opposed to Cody's terms, or?
Yeah, for Rowan here, it's quite interesting where whatever. So obviously he's followed up with the Fable. So whatever target that Cody would have put the Otawara on would have been fine for Rowan. And so I think too, you kind of just want to make the best tempo plays here in this spot as if you're Rowan because you're behind.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just going after, trying to be mana efficient and putting that counter on the Bloodthirsty Adversary, getting the Flame Slash off is probably the best thing he could have done. It's not an ideal spot, but it's one of those you got to do what you got to do with the tools you have. Yeah.
Well, and what's really interesting about this board state, right, is that these are all Rowan's creatures.
Yeah, that's very true.
Cody actually doesn't, aside from the Lutri, didn't have any other threats.
Yeah,
and so, we've seen the Furies, since at some point while we were away has ceased to be on the board. But all of these creatures are Rowan's.
Yep.
And so it's, really interesting to see Cody in this position where, it feels like if these things weren't here, Cody would have already lost.
Yeah, and two, I think it just shows the power of the invert polarity, getting that tempo. And whilst the tempo swing wasn't necessarily game ending, it's made it so Cody has been able to comfortably sit in that control role. Here
so the Magus traded with the Goblin Shaman.
Yeah, which is kind of exactly where Rowan sort of wants to be. I think Rowan, oddly enough, is not in the control role himself, but if he can get those little profitable one percenters with his trades and resources, then that's his only way of sort of clawing back.
Personally, I always find it scary when red plays control.
Yeah, I love it. It's
bolt control sounds scary.
Bolt control's scary, yeah. It's a very it's obviously what sort of makes it hard to play is knowing when you should be positioning yourself as the control deck, because naturally you just want to be bolting face and lava spiking everybody, but yeah, sometimes it is really appropriate to take on that control role and play a slower game. So
Flame of Anor has gone back on top of Cody's library. I think that was then a replayed Mystic Sanctuary?
Yeah, I believe so. Which is not good for me.
Yeah, because there was a Daze earlier.
Yeah, Daze on Mystic Sanctuary is pretty much perfect, especially when you've got 5+ lands. Oof.
So we do have the backside of Fable now.
Yeah, so this is going to be quite threatening. This is now Rowan's probably best threat on the table. If he is able to start copying the Bloodthirsty Adversary or another follow-up threat that he can play, Rowan is sort of trying to find the window to get over these last points of damage.
Flame of an Ore back. Best target would be the reflections, right? So that you're not just continuing, I'm just going to keep...
Yeah, it is interesting because Cody's on 6. Okay, so
we're going to copy.
Let's make it easy
Yep.
and just
let's do it twice.
play my companion, which is great use of 3 points just there. Yeah, but it would have been interesting without Lucci because obviously mathematically it's a 2-turn clock if he leaves the Bloodthirsty, but Fable is a better threat.
Yeah.
But fortunately, you don't have to think about it and just
don't have to worry about it.
Here we have a hardcast Rift Bolt.
Ooh.
And a Skewer the Critics, and that's going to end it.
Wow. Well, so that suddenly it's
interesting.
Wow, Rift Bolt. I'm not saying. I mean, look,
you're laughing at Rift Bolt.
I'm just laughing at I'm laughing at the idea that what's the magic number is always 3, right? You don't want to get to 3, but I guess like 3 times 2 is also dangerous.
Yeah. I think that was really well played from Rowan. Obviously, he was sandbagging his burn spells in his hand for a bit. And that's where we saw the sequencing be really, really important, right? When we were talking about sort of that Otawara play before. Rowan's obviously got at least one of these burn spells in his hand, and he's been able to plan out, okay, the best way for me to win is to play out my threats to the board before I cast my burn spells, exert all of Cody's resources onto the board, and then just go over the top with these burn spells.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Masterful play from Rowan Mills.
The best kind of removal is player removal, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Lightning Bolt targeting the opponent when they're on 3 is a lot better than killing the Birds of Paradise.
100%. Let's look at sideboards.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll start with Rowan. Rowan has a pretty nice spread of mix between sort of graveyard interaction, artifact removal, the red blast, obviously. So he's got things like Meltdown, Smash Smithereens for artifacts. He's got Relic of Progenitus, Soul Guide Lantern for interacting with the graveyard. He's also got a few sweepers, so like Brotherhood's End, Chandra, Torture Defiance is additional threat, as well as Hazoret in the board, which is a little bit surprising because I think Hazoret is by far your best 4-drop, but at the same time, it could be a bit clunky pre-board, so totally fine to see on the sideboard. I think he would probably be boarding into these additional threats, so something like Hazoret and Chandra are quite hard for the Prowess deck to deal with if they're not countering them. And so obviously we'll probably be jamming in the Red Blast as well. Be interesting to see if he wants to play some of this, the incremental graveyard sort of the hate, because obviously Cody's got Mystic Sanctuary. Was there another spell he's played? I can't remember.
Well, the Invert Polarity,
Invert Polarity coming back, that was big.
So he cast 2 Invert Polarities off the Mystic Sanctuary and then 2 Flame of an Ore off of the Mystic Sanctuary. So that Mystic Sanctuary was 4 spells.
Yeah, so like, do you want to play a Relic and try and play that game, which I think you maybe can. You can afford to play that little bit slower and not go all in on aggression to get that stuff in. But yeah, at least 4 cards, and then probably a big question mark behind whether or not Rowan does the graveyard interaction. But for Cody's side, obviously, things that stand out straight away to me are the Blue Blasts. They hit pretty much every spell in Rowan's deck, so they'll be coming straight in. Stern Scalding is probably also pretty nice, just because it hits most of Rowan's creature threats.
Yeah.
What else do we have? I think that's kind of pretty much it. Maybe Cody has his own Brotherhood's End as well. So depending on how many... This is where sort of open deck list 2 becomes a bit of a game changer. So without Cody being able to have full access to Rowan's list, he's probably not too sure how many creatures he's actually playing.
Yeah.
And so do you want to take the risk of boarding in a Brotherhood's End? In that game there, Brotherhood's End would have been okay in spots, but really poor in others. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Cody makes that decision. Is there anything that sticks out to you in particular as a up-and-coming Blue Moon killer?
Well, I mean, I can look at a lot of things that are not going in.
Yeah, for sure.
There's so many things that you're just, in some ways it makes it easier when there's fewer decisions to make. I'm not putting Energy Flux in. I'm not putting Submerge in. You're not putting a Consign or a Narset in, really. Like, it's great when the decisions are kind of made for you in that way. Like, one of the skills that I'm working on the most is sideboarding. My current practice has been a lot on my pre-board games, because I think it's really important for Blue Moon to win its first game, because the first sideboard game is generally pretty poor. But Yeah, when the decisions are made for you, it kind of works in your favor. You know, you don't need to worry too much about your your graveyard hate because Rowan isn't really using his graveyard at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I kind of like keep things simple, keep things a bit disciplined.
yeah,
If they're not,
like I can already
leave
we
it
can
alone.
already see the Harbinger is not in the main deck right
Yeah,
now.
makes a lot of sense with Rowan playing, which probably means that Cody has boarded out the moons. Probably both players boarding out their moon effects, to be honest.
Yeah.
So sideboarding for this matchup for both players is somewhat easy.
Well, it seems like we're just going to turn incredibly aggressive, right?
Yeah, yeah. Either incredibly aggressive or the opposite, which I think Rowan needs to slant in that aggressive role, especially because Cody has a lot less threats. And so if you just wait around and wait for Cody to build up card advantage, as we sort of saw there, if Cody was on 3 or 4 more life, he probably would have ran away with the game at some point. But yeah, key thing for Rowan, just get him down low enough and try and finish him off.
Well, it's so interesting, right? If Cody had been on 7, the game would probably still be going on.
Yeah, yeah.
But 6 is, you know, when red spells are really good at dealing 3 damage in specific.
Yep.
Makes things a little bit harder. Multiples of 3.
Multiples of 3.
Quite dangerous.
Love number 3.
What's so interesting that then...
Feels better though, right?
The game's over faster, for sure.
Fire Blast Lutri, one of my all-time favorite Highlander plays.
Oh, Carry Zev. Ooh, and meets a Spell Snare.
Meets the absolute perfect answer from Cody. Also love the fact that he did not fetch in his end step. It's a very heads-up play. I think something Highlander players probably do a little bit too often is fetch unnecessarily or a bit too eagerly. But yeah, no, I can see the patience from Cody. I will,
timing is of the essence in this format.
Yep.
You need to be doing really efficient things and really smart things. One of the hardest lessons that I learned in the current iteration of my Moons deck is I only have 2 snow-covered mountains.
Yes.
And fetching them out and then suddenly being stuck with,
I don't have another one.
Actually, I should have gotten a steam vents, and not the snow-covered mountain.
Which always happens 6 turns down the line, and you got to brush it aside and keep chugging. Yeah, that's an Earthshaker Kenra.
Oh.
So I haven't seen that one in a hot minute. That was probably one of the 2 drops that has a lot of resilience in the mid-range games because obviously you can pay 6 mana to eternalize it, I believe is the keyword.
Oh, a very fun
small Earthshaker.
Small Earthshaker.
It is currently small. When it comes back, we'll get the full-size image. So yeah, it's got the Eternalize ability, which for those who don't know is a keyword from the Armon Kept block. So you can bring the creature back from the graveyard. It's going to be a 4/4 and a zombie in addition to its other types.
Oh. Very cool.
So yeah, Cody missing his 3rd land here, and it's starting to probably, if there's another follow-up threat from Rowan,
it's Ragavan.
Could be bad. It's Ragavan, but it's also a one sheet tile, the new avatar card.
Wow. Whoa.
And a Force of Negation for Rowan's Searing Blood.
The best battles are fought on the stack.
Yeah.
The absolute best battles are fought on the stack.
So we'll see
I'm
here.
loving.
Rowan's going to Fire Blast the Washington by sacking 2 lands.
So
that is huge.
This exchange right here, I feel like underscores exactly how important both of these things were to those players.
Yep.
Cody needing to remove or block the Ragavan, and then Rowan really needing to get rid of the Wan Shi Tong.
Yeah, I really love that play from Rowan.
How many, they both expended, 4 cards in that exchange?
4 cards. Rowan obviously, thankfully, had a follow-up land, so it wasn't too backbreaking. And also, as you sort of saying, it shows how much power both players are putting into these cards. Like Ragavan is going to make more mana sources. So Rowan willing to sacrifice the now for hopefully more resources in the future. But yeah, and Cody going all in on his hand too, as you were saying. And it's just, look, that's why you love Highlander, those types of stacks.
And the Ragavan, we just saw that's a lightning bolt off the top of Cody's library.
I hate to be a pesky, it's a chain lightning.
It's a chain lightning. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I've seen these cards thousands of times.
I should recognize chain lightning.
No, you definitely shouldn't.
Nobody needs to know what chain lightning is.
Nope. You don't need. You can't pay 2. No, it's okay.
There's a Sunbaked Canyon down there for Rowan, and so that's another white source. Interestingly.
Yeah. I think this one too is just being utilized for its utility, which is obviously just to draw a card.
Yeah.
which I do really like. I don't think Rowan. So Rowan's only playing Sunbane Canyon. He's not playing Fiery Islet. So this list just choosing to play the one draw a card land.
Here comes a Murktide Regent.
And a very perfectly timed Red Blast.
This feels backbreaking.
This feels backbreaking. It's also really impressive from Rowan. I think Rowan's sequences his spells really well, and also Cody has too. So yeah, both players playing really well at the moment. And there we have Fury pitching the Lutri. So another bonus for having Lutri in your deck. It is a pitch card to all your forces and Fury, but on the downside, Cody's just 2-for-1 himself in order to kill a Ragavan, which sort of speaks to a lot as to how powerful Ragavan is and why it is pointed.
We're going to eternalize the Kenra, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, which is extremely unfair. Obviously, we've had, I think that was like 3 treasures off the Ragavan, so yeah, 4/4 here, coming in real strong. And it does have haste, which I don't know if... Did Rowan attack with it?
Rowan did not attack with... okay, there we go. I don't think he attacked with it the first time, though.
That's really interesting. I'll have to tell him to read the card after the match. But...
Famously, reading the card explains the card. This Kenra is game ending. There's, Cody has 1 turn, and I feel like we can kind of see that frustration, coming to a head here. This is going to be a preordain.
Preordain bottom, exactly what you want to see on the opponent's side.
Warped Riddler.
So Cody looking for a land here into like a Flame Slash of sorts.
And that will do it.
Has to extend the hand.
And that will go to Rowan. Oh my goodness. What a way to start us out.
Really fast, really fiery.
Really fast.
A lot of fury.
A lot of fury. A lot of fury.
Break. That was all right. Quick coffee break.
Hey, well, you know what? That's our first round of the last Open Series event here at Plenty of Games. We'll be coming back with round 2 in just a moment. Hang tight.